Hey everybody, it's Taylor with Boydston Grove, and today we're going to make some Valentine's projects out of scrap wood that work as both gifts and decorations.
Win, win, win.
Let's get into it.
This is going to be so much fun!
This video is sponsored by, well, me. The first project is going to be a tea light candle holder, and I'm going to be using a piece of a pallet stringer. I wanted to make sure that the piece was not only wide enough for the candles, but thick enough for me to add some lettering across the front. Normally I use a 1.5 inch Forstner bit for tea light candles, but my wife has discovered that not all tea light candles are created equal, so this time I'm going to be using a 1 5/8 inch bit. Then it was over to my Sane Smart bench sander to smooth it out and ever so lightly soften the edges and corners. I used an inkjet transfer to add a phrase to the front. I have a full tutorial on this process if you're interested. I'll leave a link in the description below. I applied a few coats of spray-on lacquer and some felt to the bottom, and project number 1 is complete. Project number 2 is going to be a catch-all or dish or whatever you want to use it for. I used a piece of 3/4 sawn cherry board, which is technically not scrap, but any 3/4 inch material will work. I used a template that I made to trace a heart onto the board and then used a bowl bit in my router to hollow out the center. I used my laser engraver to cut out a bunch of heart-shaped templates for these projects, but you could also use your scroll saw or a router or just order some templates online. If there are certain shapes that you tend to use a lot in your projects, it's really nice to have a whole bunch of templates on hand.
That guy's a genius.
Then I used a chisel to smooth out the bottom and my Sane Smart grinder rotary tool combo kit to sand the edges. After some hand sanding, I cut it loose and cut out the shape on the scroll saw. I used a roundover bit to put a roundover on the top edge and a much larger bit to put a roundover on the bottom edge. I sketched out a little phrase in the bottom of the bowl and went over it with my wood burner. After one final sanding, I applied a coat of Odie's oil for the finish.
Now a word from our sponsor.
I want to take a moment just to thank each one of you for watching our videos and purchasing our templates and plans from our website. It may not seem like much, but all these things really help support us to be able to do what we love, which is make cool stuff and make videos to share it with you. My wife has been working really hard to revamp our website, so you may have noticed some changes there. She's also working on putting together a newsletter, so all of you who have already signed up on our website, hopefully you'll be receiving that soon. The newsletter is going to give us more opportunity to share with you what goes on here behind the scenes at the Grove, maybe some tips and tricks, and some previews of upcoming projects. If you're interested in receiving the newsletter, just hit the link below and fill in your email address. That's all it takes. It's free, and that's all the info you need to give is just your email. Again, thank you so much for sticking with us and being part of this journey. Now back to the projects. For the third project, I'm going to be making a sign/picture frame. You'll see what I mean. I started with a piece of cedar fence picket and cut it to about 20 inches long. After marking out some lines to keep everything lined up, I attached some lettering using some spray adhesive, and then I traced a heart using another template that I made. I drilled some access holes and then used my jigsaw with a scroll blade to cut everything out. Then I sanded it smooth. I cut a piece of 1/8 inch plywood to use as the backing, and I used a straight edge with my knife to create little grooves. Then I sprayed both pieces white. Once they were dry, I sanded the love cutout just enough to reveal some of the wood grain. Then I used some Oops paints that I picked up at the local big box store to paint the areas in between each groove. While that was drying, I cut some more fence picket scraps into some strips to use as a frame around my picture. Once they were sanded, I stained them with some dark walnut stain. Once the paint was dry on the backing, I lightly sanded it to soften the colors and to get some of that white to come back through. I used glue and pin nails to attach the backing and glue and brad nails to attach the frame pieces. Last but not least, I applied a few coats of spray-on lacquer and then printed out a picture, cutting it just big enough to be pressure fitted into the heart shape area of the picture. Alright, our Valentine's Day projects are finished. They were all super simple and quick. I was able to finish them all in one day, but I think they all came out really nice. Each of these projects are so different from each other, using different techniques, but that's what makes it fun. And it's a good opportunity to use techniques that you don't use very often, like transfers or wood burning. I hope this video gave you some good ideas of projects that you can tackle this Valentine's Day, and we have some really cool projects coming up, so make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, be safe, and have a great day.